Road trips are all about the sights, the sounds, and the snacks. So pack the ultimate road trip fuel, Blue Diamond Almonds. This summer, they're your chance to win a new car. Buy any 12-ounce or larger bag, enter the code at bdroadtrip.com, and you could score thousands of prizes, including a new set of wheels. Hit the road with Blue Diamond. No purchase necessary. End September 15th. Open to 50 U.S. and D.C. 18 years or older. For rules, including free entry method, visit bdroadtrip.com. Void where prohibited. Grand prize awarded as $50,000 cash via PayPal. This promotion is in no way sponsored, endorsed, administered by, or associated with PayPal Inc.
Stop by Sherwin-Williams and get 30% off select paints and stains June 13th through the 23rd. It's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Refresh your home inside and out with colors that make every space feel brand new. From cozy interiors to stunning exteriors, we've got the perfect shade for your next project. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Yeah, what's happening? We about to bring that action. Gotta hold it down for my Seattle Kraken. Ay, we going beneath the waves. We going beneath the waves. Get it hype, step onto the ice. Ready for some action. Release the Kraken. Ay, we going beneath the waves. Going beneath the waves.
What is up, everyone? Welcome into the Beneath the Waves podcast, your weekly recap of all things Seattle hockey and beyond. I am Matt.
It's Heather.
I'm Derek.
And I'm Alex.
And we are now on to episode 32. And on this episode of the BTW pod, we are going to be doing another look back at past Kraken seasons with free agency just on the horizon, perhaps one of the most exciting times on the NHL calendar. I thought we could take a little walk down memory lane and see what the Kraken's history has been on this annual day of big spending in the NHL. I figured that we could break it down year by year, give what our first impressions were at the time, and how we feel these players' time with the Kraken has been or had gone if they are no longer with the team. So, Derek, why don't you kick us off with the inaugural season free agent frenzy?
The Kraken came out of the gate strong ahead of their inaugural season, making 3 free agent signings before the start of the season with Hayden, Schwartz, Alexander Wennberg, and Philip Grubauer. 2 of those 3 players from this group are still with the Kraken, with Wennberg being traded to the New York Rangers in 2024 for a 2024 second-round draft pick, who I believe became Nathan Villeneuve, and a conditional 2025 fourth-round draft pick, who we have yet to meet. I would say this is probably our second most ambitious free agency, and it makes a lot of sense, I guess, with building the team and all that. I think with the 5-year plan, though, we may have gone a little overboard, especially in retrospect, having the Crew contract a part of this, which has shaped up to be one of the worst of all time.
I think from the 21-22 season, Jaden Schwartz, he just had the best season that I've seen. So thrilled about him. Grubauer, I've talked him to death. I think that he just struggled, and I feel so sad that he did. I was sad to see Wennberg go. I really liked him. I really liked his family here in Seattle. I thought they were great that way too. So it was sad to see him go, but now, you can kind of see how things have shaken out, and, we all get upset and then we move on and we can move forward from it. But definitely that one was hard to see let go. In fact, they had his poster still up at CPA for a while, like he was still there. And every time I walked by, I was like, oh, Wenny. But this was a great little signing here with these three guys, and Philip Grubauer played amazing for us when he did, and I think there's something to be said about that too.
In terms of the 2021 and 2022 season for the UFAs that the Kraken signed, it's kind of a mixed bag, so to speak. First off, Alexander Wennberg, great middle of the pack player, served us well. Got a great return for him at the end of the day when we traded him last season. He fit the bill, especially coming to a new franchise like in their inaugural season. He did exactly what he needed to do, and he's a player that will be remembered, maybe not for his goal scoring tenacity, but for being an all-around half decent player. Second player is Jaden Schwartz. Gotta love the Schweeberger. Schwartz has been great. The fact that he was our top goal scorer last season kind of says everything you need to know about him. Aside from all the injuries, I think he's been one of our best players on the team since the inaugural season, and I'm excited to see what he does in his last year of his deal. And finally, Philip Grubauer. Lots of hype around him when he was initially signed as a free agent, but he just has not been able to do what is expected. And he was given the reins as the starting goaltender, flubbed it multiple times, and Martin Jones came in, did his job when he needed to when Grubauer went down, and then Joey said, "Hey, it's my turn," and truly took over. And we're in this place now where it's kind of a parting of times with Grubauer, because I think everyone here is expecting him to be bought out at the end of the season, or this summer in the next couple of weeks, to be brutally honest, and to see where he goes from there. But I think out of the three of them, Grubauer was definitely the biggest bust, so to speak.
So with this group, I feel it's like great, good, and oh god, Jaden Schwartz this season especially just absolutely popped off. He became the player that we hoped he would be. He had to battle with some injuries to get to this point, but I hope that going forward he stays healthy, and this Jaden Schwartz is the Jaden Schwartz we have while he is still with us. Alexander Wennberg, I personally really enjoyed that he was on the team. I was genuinely sad to see him go when he got traded away to New York, but he seemed like a perfectly serviceable middle-tier center. So really liked having him around. Like I said, was sad to see him go. And then Philip Grubauer. What is there to say that we have not already said about Philip Grubauer? Came in making the big bucks out of this group and just did not perform. Especially this last season, I think we were all pretty soured on Philip Grubauer, the player, and how he just did not perform up to his paycheck or his expectations. And we just got to wait and see what happens, because apparently he is not being bought out this season. So we'll see if this new goalie coach that we'll talk about later today has a magic solution that can make Philip Grubauer pay off.
For the 22-23 free agency, it's kind of funny to think about. That was, the year right before the team made it to their playoff, first and only so far playoffs. And, I think, I don't know that these pieces were necessarily the ones that helped propel them to the playoffs, but it is kind of fun to think about who they did get over those the free agency. So, for example, Andre Burakovsky came over fresh off winning the Stanley Cup with Colorado. And, obviously that's been an interesting, how I feel about him, ride with Berkey. But I do think he has, shown up in some really key moments for the team. Martin Jones ended up playing 48 games, and I'll say, when he had the hot hand, he had the hot hand, and it was really impressive. I liked Martin Jones when he was here. It wasn't going to be someone forever, but I did really like him playing with the team. Justin Schultz came in from Washington, and he had won the cup twice with Pittsburgh, and I thought Justin Schultz really fit in well. I understand why they didn't continue with him, but I do think he fit in super well. And then we had John Hayden as well. He joined the roster, and while he's still between Coachella and the Kraken right now, it's sort of interesting to think about the fact that he came in during that time as well. So of these players, we really only have Burakovsky and John Hayden. So it's interesting in hockey how fast you can have these players come for just a year or 2 years, and then they're off to their next destination, whether that be with another NHL team, another AHL team, or even somewhere else completely. So very interesting. I think this was a good year sort of for free agency, sort of an interesting one to sort of dig into. So I'm curious what you all think about it as well.
In the 2022-2023 season, there were a few definite players. Justin Schultz, when he signed the 2-year, $3 million deal, you know what? I don't mind it. He is that Stanley Cup pedigree type defender, so he has that. It wasn't a big contract, so I wasn't too worried about it, and he did his job. Like, I have nothing to complain about that. The bodyguard, John Hayden, still here. I love that, that pickup, just mainly because, he can do this fourth line role as well as be a leader and a mentor down with the Firebirds. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on as well. I love that signing, and I still love that signing. Martin Jones, kind of a head scratcher. I think a lot of people were kind of thinking, we got Joey, we got Grubauer. Why are we adding Martin Jones? But Joey, this was Joey's year in Coachella where he took off. So, having Martin Jones as a backup, and then especially when Gru went down, Martin Jones became the number one, and, he did great. And in the end, for $2 million, can't complain. And finally, Andre Burakovsky, biggest bust. I think this might be the biggest bust of a free agent signing in the Kraken history. So much promise when he played with Washington, so much promise when he played with Colorado. And to be brutally honest, you can't even trade him for half his value because nobody really wants even a contract at 2.75. That's just Andre Burakovsky for you. Kind of, brittle man, bubble wrap, brittle bone, you name it. That's Andre Burakovsky.
So with this next group, again, it's just, I don't know, a real mix on how I feel about these guys. We have Andre Burakovsky, who is a lot like Philip Grubauer in what we just talked about, where he got this huge paycheck coming in off winning the cup with Colorado and just never really performed up to the expectations really given for him. We kind of felt like this guy is made of glass, and he was constantly getting injured. Miraculously, this last season, he played in 79 of the 82 games, and we just hope that he can stay healthy and he can actually start producing now. Maybe he'll have a comeback this season like Jaden Schwartz did and finally start shaking off all of that. Martin Jones, I found myself kind of quietly being a fan of. This is when I first started really getting into Kraken hockey through the first couple seasons here, especially with the playoff push. And I remember Martin Jones saying, I'd be like, this guy's the backup. He seems to be doing super well, but what can you do? He did the job of a backup goaltender. Maybe Grubauer could take some notes for him on how to be a good backup goaltender. And yeah, I felt he was pretty good with this team. Justin Schultz, not a guy that I was really, jumping for joy that we got. Again, I wasn't really following super close at the time, and I thought he was just a good member of the D-Corps as we went. He was almost a trivia stat with the first home playoff goal, but he had the shot that Jaden Schwartz tipped in, so I guess first primary assist for a home playoff game with the Seattle Kraken goes to him. I'm not sure how often that trivia question will come up. And then John Hayden. We love John Hayden. We've talked about him many times. We are psyched that he is back for a couple years, and the bodyguard, the enforcer, hopefully gets some big playing time this next season and can kind of fill that fourth line role.
This one was fun for me because Burakovsky was one of those names, Martin Jones and Justin Schultz were both fun too. I like this one. Maybe it's just because of the association I have of it with the playoff run. I missed 2022 to 2023. It was such a fun season, and now we're all depressed all the time. So it's not fun.
So for the 2023-2024 season, in our brief 4-year history, this was probably our least exciting free agency, so to speak. So we brought in Brian Dumoulin, who joined from the Pittsburgh Penguins, where he won 2 Stanley Cups with Justin Schultz. Kyler Yamamoto came down after 6 seasons with Edmonton, and Pierre-Edouard Bellemare made Seattle his 5th NHL stop after leaving Tampa Bay. Now, if you look at these contracts, Brian Dumoulin signed a 2-year deal at $3.15 million. Not saying he was a bad signing, but he only played for the Kraken for 1 year, and we shipped him off for Anaheim for peanuts on the dollar. Nothing really to write home about with Dumoulin. Served his purpose the year that he was here, but ultimately speaking, yeah, it was just kind of one of those deals that, didn't work for the team, didn't work for the player, and, at the end of the day, we shipped them off just to get something back, and it really wasn't much. Kyler Yamamoto, 1 year, 1.5. It is what it is. Just wasn't able to do anything with the opportunity he was given. Wasn't many opportunities. And to be brutally honest, not really an NHL player. I know he has ties to Seattle, but at the end of the day, you need to start looking at fresher players, and Yamamoto was just not one of those guys. And then finally, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, 1 year, $775. Older guy. We are kind of in a weird year. Didn't hate it, didn't love it. Kind of one of those neutral points where I kind of stood. It is what it is.
With the 23 to 24 group, really no big movers and shakers here that get me super excited. Brian Dumoulin coming over, very similar to Justin Schultz. He came in and he did his job, but he wasn't one that I was ever getting pumped up about, like someone we're going to talk about shortly here. Kyler Yamamoto, it was cool seeing a local guy come into the team, but unfortunately he kind of had the Ty Cartier role of this season and was relegated up to the press box to eat nachos and hang out and just be a healthy scratch every game. And then Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, he was a fun guy. I remember just hearing tons of interviews with him on podcasts and things like that, and he was always cracking jokes, and him snapping his leg on a block shot, that's a warrior moment for the Kraken that earns him some points in my book, that's for sure.
All right, for this one, Dumoulin was okay. Yamamoto was fun because of the locality to our area, but he was also okay. And Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, he was also okay. So this really is like the most mid free agency we've had. We had lost guys like Donato, Gigi, Sprong, etc., and replaced them with kind of nothing burgers. This was the beginning of the end for the young Kraken team.
From 23-24, okay, so first of all, I love Kyler Yamamoto. He is a local Washington guy, so I loved him being here for that reason, and I was super sad that he is no longer with the team, but I'm so glad that he's playing somewhere. I actually liked Dumo for us as well, but somebody that I totally understand them not continuing forward with, because we just had other players, that could fill kind of that role. And then, thinking about bringing people in like Brandon Montour in the next season, etc. It was just, I get that. And then Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, I mean, how could you not like Belly? I don't know that he was really impactful for us aside from his jovial spirit in the locker room and in press conferences. And also I do think he was great in sort of being that leader, for the younger players, because he had all that experience. So I thought he was great for those reasons. But, I understand why actually all of these players are no longer with the team. But I think of those, maybe of all of these that we're talking about, Belly might be my favorite from that standpoint, because he was just so fun. And I don't know. I loved his attitude and his spirit and his jokes. And I do miss that for sure.
The fastest game on ice just hit another gear. Welcome to the Stanley Cup Playoffs, where legends are made and every shift could turn the tide. And now, with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can take every slapshot, breakaway, and overtime thriller to the next level. New to betting on the Stanley Cup Playoffs? You're in for an exciting time. Getting started is a breeze. Fire up DraftKings Sportsbook app, pick your team to win, lock in your wager, and you're off to the races. It's fast, simple, and puts you right in the middle of the action. Here's the kicker. New customers who bet just $5 will score $300 in bonus bets if their wager hits. That's right, turn $5 into a playoff payout. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN. That's promo code THPN to unlock $300 in bonus bets when your $5 bet wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
All right, so to close things out here, we have 2024-25, the most recent free agent frenzy. And this free agency was when Ron Francis really decided to crack open that checkbook and make some big moves. While one of these big moves was greeted with excitement, the other was pretty widely derided. Brandon Montour, fresh off his Stanley Cup in Florida, was one of the first signings announced when free agency opened and came with a lot of hype. Chandler Stephenson, a two-time Stanley Cup winner in his own right, was also signed to a pretty hefty contract that did not have such a warm welcome. Oh, and then there was Josh Mahura, who joined the roster, who also brought over a Stanley Cup ring with Monty. I love this group. I don't know if it's because this is when I first really started getting into Kraken hockey, when we started doing this show and everything, but man, Brandon Montour instantly became one of my guys. I have so much Monty stuff in my house right now that I just love this dude. He has a rocket of a shot. He's a leader in the locker room, and I am so glad that we have him on this team and can't wait to see what he does next season. Chatty Steves, I think I might be the most vocal Chandler Stephenson apologist on Kraken Twitter, internet space, in existence perhaps. Maybe it's the close proximity with him being a fellow Saskatchewan kid, but I like Chandler Stephenson. He has awesome fancy skating moves, he has amazing passes that we saw on many occasions, and he does well in the face-off circle, so I think he's going to be a great leadership piece for the likes of Matty Beniers, Shane Wright, and Berkeley Catton when he finally makes his way up. So I do think he has a lot of value. And again, we can get pissy about his contract 4 or 5 years down the line when he's super old and Derek thinks that he's all washed. But I really like him. And then Josh Mahura, solid bottom pair defenseman who we were all really excited a few weeks ago to see him earn his spot back with the team with a nice little pay raise and an extra year on that contract. How are you guys feeling about them?
Finally, for the 2024-2025 season, as mentioned previously, Montour, Stephenson, and Mahura. I'm on the fence with two of three of these deals I really like. One of the deals I'm still 50-50 on. Josh Mahura, love the pickup. That 1 year. We've extended him for another 2. Solid. Bottom 2 defensemen. I really like the piece, especially when Borgen, was dealt. He jumped right into that bottom pairing and took off. So I love that signing, and it's cheap. It's less than $1 million, and he's still making less than $1 million next year, and he's going to be here. It's kind of squares up the defense. Brandon Montour, 7 years at 7.14. I absolutely adore this contract. I love it. A lot of people are saying, it's going to age poorly. And you know what? A lot of contracts age poorly. But we're going to get some really solid years of Brandon Montour, not just on the ice, but in the dressing room. Bona fide leader in the dressing room. And I think it's already been highlighted on numerous occasions. So you don't just get the player on the ice, but you get that older player in the dressing room that's won a Stanley Cup. He knows how to do it. And you need that. You need those voices in the dressing room, and that's what Brandon Montour delivers. And he has a clapper. Like, that shot is magnifique. So, Monty Mania for another 6 years in Seattle, I can get jiggy with it. Finally, Chandler Stephenson. I'm still on the fence with this one because he's not making like Matty Beniers money. So I can't really say anything about that. But Matty Beniers is younger. Chandler Stephenson's, when his contract is up, he's going to be an older man, in Derek's term, he's going to be ancient. But, in the grand scheme of things, the cap is going to look so vastly different by the end of this contract. And I truly believe Stephenson's cap value is going to be like pennies on the dollar. Now, having said that, he delivered it his first year. Like, he honestly shut me up because I was very critical of it. I was more shocked by the fact that we actually signed him. And then, especially for that term, but in free agency, it's silly season. You can't really do much. You have to offer ridiculous years at ridiculous value, and that's how you get the player. But Chaney Steves, I definitely think, he's probably going to be useful over the next couple of years, but we're going to be looking at that contract, in the last 3 years, I'm going to say, and it's going to be like one of those eyesores. But yet again, salary-wise, I think we're going to be like, that's $6.25 million. The cap is 140, hypothetically speaking. It's really not going to affect it that much. So ultimately speaking, I honestly would say the 2024-2025 free agency class was probably our best. 2.5 out of 3 good signings is pretty good in my books.
All right. The 24-25 season, probably the most controversial, maybe, free agency that we've had so far, just because of Brandon Montour and Chandler Stephenson and their not only expensive but lengthy contracts. And I do feel like I have given my thoughts very extensively on these two. They have proven me wrong in worrying, at least for this first year, and I'm hoping for a few more years. But I think both were great additions, especially Brandon Montour. I would love to see him stick around for the duration of his career, to be totally honest with you, because I think he is fantastic both on and off the ice, and I love that about him. I think he's future leadership group for sure. And I think that is, just it's priceless when you have someone like that. So really, really a big fan of Monty. And I do think, Chandler Stephenson played a role that we needed in that he had great passing skills and he set up great plays. I just want to see him tighten up the defense a little bit because he had some really awful turnovers during the season. But overall, that's pretty great for all things being considered here. And again, I'm only going to talk about just like these current years, because going past that, I just don't know what this looks like. But overall, this was very widely talked about when these guys were signed. So at least from that standpoint, it was very interesting.
Right, and this last free agency was the real deal. Despite what you want to say about Chandler Stephenson or Montour's high-term contracts, they're old and they're getting 7 years, Ronnie was swinging for the fences here, trying to save his job. Josh Mahura is the best Mr. Cheap and consistent guy. Montour gives you another cup-winning, offensively talented D-man to man a power play opposite of the other cup-winning, offensively talented D-man in Vince Dunn. And Stevie generated like 1 million assists on a lackluster team. For this upcoming free agency, I would like to see a blend of the 2022-2023 free agency and last year's. Get some solid low AAV guys, but maybe one guy of 6 million or more. We have about $20 million in cap space for next season. Let's have a heyday in free agency this year for the love of everything. Fireworks, baby!
Running a business is hard work. Building your website shouldn't be. With Wix, you can express your ideas, give direction, then leave the heavy lifting to AI. From site creation to branded content and images. Have fun with the details. Customize what you want the way you want. And manage your whole business from a centralized dashboard with expert AI tools. Build, scale, and enjoy the incredible results. You can do it all yourself on Wix.
Dealing with hidradenitis suppurativa, HS, is tough. But you're not alone. Before I started Cosentyx, I looked at the website and saw it had many years of clinical research. That made me feel confident.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for adults with moderate to severe hidradenitis suppurativa, HS. Don't use if allergic to Cosentyx. Get checked for TB before starting. Increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like TB or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some are fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if IBD symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTYX or Cosentyx.com.
Don't wait. Ask your dermatologist about Cosentyx.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company I trust, Endurance. No matter the mileage, if your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers comprehensive auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus, benefits like 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything, from making the claim through the repair process to paying the certified mechanic of your choice. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Act now and get 1 full year of elite benefits. A $2,000 value, free.
Visit EnduranceWarranty.com for your fast free quote today. That's EnduranceWarranty.com.
And then to close out this week, we're going to do some quick rapid fire news. We're going to start off with, of course, the Stanley Cup update. The Stanley Cup has been claimed, and for the second year in a row, it goes to the Florida Panthers. The Panthers defeated the Edmonton Oilers in 6 games, with the final game being a 5-1 finish. The standout performance from this game had to be Sam Reinhart, who scored 4 goals. The hat trick was not enough for him. He had to score 1 more. And prior to Lord Stanley's Cup being awarded, Commissioner Gary Bettman awarded the Conn Smythe Trophy for playoff MVP to Sam Bennett, who had 15 goals in the cup-winning run. Sam Bennett is going to be a free agent this offseason, so I think he's got a real open wallet waiting for those offers to come in, coming off of that performance. The rest of the NHL awards were handed out since our last recording. The biggest winner this year was Winnipeg Jets goaltender Connor Hellebuyck. The goalie claimed both the Vezina Trophy for Best Goaltender and the Hart Memorial Trophy given to regular season MVP. He is the 5th goalie in NHL history to win both awards in the same season. Anze Kopitar of the LA Kings was awarded the Lady Byng Memorial Trophy, given to the player who exhibits the best combination of sportsmanship and playing ability. This is his 3rd time winning that trophy. And lastly, the James Norris Memorial Trophy, given to best defenseman, was awarded to Cale Makar of the Colorado Avalanche. The now 2-time Norris winner had 90 points in 80 games this season. In other awards news, Kraken prospect Berkeley Catton was awarded with the CHL Sportsman of the Year award, so big congrats to him on that. Also on the Kraken news front, we had some news come out on Tuesday as head coach Lane Lambert has rounded out his coaching staff. In addition to the returns of assistant coach Jessica Campbell, video assistant coach Tim Ohashi, and video analyst Brady Morgan, the Kraken organization announced 3 new hirings on Tuesday afternoon. First is outgoing New Jersey Devils assistant coach Chris Taylor. Next is former Colorado Eagles head coach Aaron Schneekloth. And finally, we have a new goalie coach replacing Steve Briere in Colin Zulianello, getting the call-up from his role with the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Now that we have all these pieces in place, we just got to sit back, wait and see if the Lane Lambert era is going to be one where things finally click as part of Ron Francis's 5-year plan, or if we're just going to send a bunch of people out the door once again. We will just have to wait and see. And it may still be months away, but Monday saw different countries announcing the first 6 players on their Olympic rosters for the 2026 Winter Olympics. For Team Canada, the first named players were Connor McDavid, now 2-time Stanley Cup champion Sam Reinhart, Sidney Crosby, Cale Makar, Braden Point, and Nathan McKinnon. For Team USA, the team currently has Jack Eichel, Quinn Hughes, Austin Matthews, Charlie McAvoy, Brady Tkachuk, and Matthew Tkachuk. And there were a few current and former Kraken players who found themselves spots representing their countries as well, including Philip Grubauer for Team Germany, Oliver Bjorkstrand going for Team Denmark, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, who we talked about earlier in this show, for Team France, and Tomáš Tatar for Team Slovakia. So lots of time for more roster names to be announced. We'll see if any Kraken players continue to crack a place onto these rosters, and we look forward to that happening in February. And that'll do it. That's going to wrap it up for this week on Beneath the Waves. Heather, can you let everyone know what our next week's show looks like?
And next up from us, we're continuing sort of our meandering summer down memory lane a little bit here. And we're going to go to our draft retrospective and really just look at our past draft picks while we gear up for this next draft. See how they panned out, see how they're doing. So I think it's going to be a pretty interesting pod and pretty interesting to see how everyone rates these draft picks. So that's what's coming up next from us.
Perfect. And Derek, if you could hit us with all the information on where the listeners can find us online if they're wanting more BTW content.
Absolutely, Matt. Please go check out anything that we have for sale on bit.ly/BTW store. We have so much on there, it's hard to even describe. But the summer months are approaching. Go get a tank top, a t-shirt, something to cool off your dog, like a dog bandana. Anything related to the team is on there. Go check it out, bit.ly/BTW store. Please drop a follow and a 5-star review on the podcast app of your choice, wherever you're listening to this. It would help us out a ton. Follow us on all of our socials. We've been putting out a ton of short form content on places like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts recently. Also, we just hit 100 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you guys so much. It's completely free to you and would make our day, so join us everywhere at BTWSEA. That's BTWSEA on all platforms. Thank you, have a great rest of your day, and see you next week.
Going beneath the waves.
What's the difference between DIY and doing it yourself? It's the difference between a part-time passion and a full-time business. Wix gives you the power to turn your passion into a moneymaker. With a website that fits your unique vision, let your ideas flow with AI that guides you, but keeps you in the driver's seat. Manage your business from one dashboard and keep it growing with built-in marketing features. It's time to turn your daydream into your dream job. Go to Wix.com.